All right, Marvin Jackson back here at Arena Stage, and I am joined by Faye Butler and Cleavant Derricks of Pullman Porter Blues. And I tell you, this is really a treat having you all here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
All right, now talk about this piece. Faye, when you first, found out that you were selected for this piece, talk about that.
Well, it was kind of different for me because I'd never read the script. I didn't have the privilege of reading the script actually basically until like the day before I started work in Seattle. So I'd only read the sides. And I think Cleavant and I kind of had a similar experience.
Right.
We were the last two to be hired.
Right.
First, know that.
Oh my goodness.
Because a lot of people think it would be the reverse, but it was not. Because a lot of the people had worked on the workshop and stuff like that. So I didn't really know the piece. They sent me about a 4 or 5 page sides to read. I literally read them over on a camera, sent it in, really didn't care because I didn't know the piece. I was doing another show. I was tired. I was busy. I was like, whatever. Yeah. I read it, and they called me the next day and they said, you got the job. And I went, well, can you send me the script? Because I didn't know it. So for me, learning about the piece and reading it kind of happened in the process of doing it actually in rehearsals for me. So I kind of grew with the piece as I learned it. And which in many ways is kind of good because I had no preconception of what it was, well, who I was, what I should do. I could go in fresh, so I was a blank.
Did you know Cheryl West was the writer?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I knew Cheryl West. I've seen a lot of her stuff. I've read a lot of her stuff. So I knew her, always enjoyed her work, but I just didn't know this piece because it was brand new. And so I kind of had a fresh eye, so I had nothing to...
Wow. What about you, Cleavant?
Virtually the same situation. I got it on a Sunday evening. I got the sides. Also, I didn't have a script. And I put it on tape. And my wife said, you want to look at it? I said, no, I don't want to look at it. I got 2 other scripts to read. I don't want to look at it. She's like, no, it's really, really nice what you did. You should really look at it. I said, you know me. I don't look at anything that I do. And so I walked away from it, and the next day got a call saying, we want you for this part. So I said, well, I need a script. So I waited for like a week. No script came. So I went online, and I found an old script. And I began to read that one, and I said, oh, my God. I said, I don't know if I really want to do something about the hardships of our people. I said, who want to come and see something like that nowadays? I said, why do we always got to go back and revisit all of that? I said, I don't want to revisit all of that. I said, I want to move on, want to move forward. And I said, but you know what? I said, it came to me like that. I said, and usually when things come to me like that, my instinct is to go ahead and take it and go on the adventure. So I went in, and we read the new script around the table. And I was literally in tears because of the storyline of the men. It was the first time in my life I had ever seen a story of black men and someone who was able to write about black men and tell the story and the struggles that go on within the minds of black men within a family, trying to educate, motivate, and move that family along to a higher plateau so that we as a family can be successful in life, financially as well as family-wise, spiritually, all of the above. So it moved me deeply because I have kids, and I have 2 boys, and so a lot of the similarities were there. So I said to myself, I said, you know, this could really be something. This is something I've been looking for a long time. Yeah. And a play,
right.
You know, not a real musical, a play. So dialogue was going to be introduced and played with and involved with. So it was fascinating to get on board. So I saw promise with it.
And you worked with Larry Marshall.
He
plays your dad, and and then you have a son, and that's Warner Miller.
Warner Miller, yes.
Talk about that. You guys all working together. It seemed like you guys really work well together.
Yeah, I don't know how that comes about. They say 90% of any show is casting. So the casting of it, I guess, was very important. Now, Larry and Warner were both in the workshops of it. And also, I think Richard had a part to do in one of the workshops, as well as Emily. And so, as Faye said, she and I were new to the piece. And I don't know, I fell in love with her the minute. First of all, my brother told me, he said, you're working with Faye Butler. And I said, yeah. He said, oh my God, man. He said, you are going to have a ball. You're going to have a blast. Yeah. He said, not only is she talented, he said, but you're just going to love her. You're going to fall in love with her.
I paid him for that.
Right. And you might want to mention you have a twin brother.
I have a twin brother,
yeah,
Cleavant Derricks Carroll.
Yeah.
Yes, who's an actor as well.
And he has worked with
He's worked with Faye Butler.
We've worked together too.
And so when I walked in and we got together, I was smitten. She's incredible. I mean, it's a privilege, it's an honor, and it's a joy. And it's with the whole cast. Larry Marshall.
Great group of people.
And you worked with Larry.
I worked with Larry, but the interesting thing with Larry is that he and I worked with Bob Fosse, his last piece on Broadway. And Larry and I didn't quite get together on that particular show because there was a lot of pressure going on in that show. I had just come off of Dreamgirls and worked with Michael Bennett. So I knew that there was going to be
you were in the original.
The original, yes.
Broadway and Tony Award winner.
Yeah,
That's
right. So working with Larry then was different from working with Larry now. Getting to know him and getting to know Warner for the first time. Because Warner's new.
Yes.
I mean, he came in through the back door in this business as well. I mean, it was through a friend of his that got him involved in acting. So it's kind of like similar things. I think a lot of times really great actors are pulled in from off the streets, from different walks of life, where they come in because they have something to offer. A lot of times schools will cause you to become, you have no vision. Right. You're doing what that teacher or that director expects you to do.
Or the program.
Yeah, the program, so you don't have a freedom to express and deal and create your own persona of whatever character you want to do. So it's been a pleasure to be with this cast. This is a special cast of people.
A great group of guys. And see, I'm very fortunate because I got 3 leading men. You usually don't get 3.
You sure do.
Usually you get 1. I get 3. Girls,
and that's what
so
makes
treat.
It fun too.
And they're so very different.
Yes.
Because first of all, you got Cleavant, who he knows has my heart. It's a good thing we're both married.
Yeah, right.
Very smooth. Yeah. I tell him all the time, I say, it's a good thing we both married. Yeah. Then Warner is just charming.
Yeah.
Warner is just sweet and loving and caring, and he's so bright and so energetic, and he wants to know so much, and he's always listening, and he's always learning. And then when you got a vet like Larry around, he's my buddy.
Wow.
He's my buddy. I love me some Larry.
Larry Marshall.
So you can't beat, I mean, you know, that's why I tell people, they said, you know, how's it work with, I said, I got 3 leading men, child. I said, pick one. Which one, you know?
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, Emily.
Oh, yes.
Who plays
Did a
Ludi.
great job.
Powerful.
Yes.
Extremely powerful.
A lot of people are surprised at that
Oh,
role.
yeah.
And she learned to play that harmonica.
She learned to play that harmonica.
That
Chick
was her
who
playing.
plays
she's
guitar.
playing the harmonica.
She's
Oh, my
actually
goodness.
playing it, so it's
She's playing that harmonica.
And then we have Richard,
Yeah.
who is by way of out of New York and living in Seattle, who came down to play with this piece. And they searched a while. He told me they searched a while to find someone to play this piece because it's very difficult to find an actor who would want to attempt to play that role because there's not a lot of gratifications that you will receive by playing a role like that. So a lot of times Richard will feel like he's on the outside looking in, and I tell him, listen, man, you do it and you do it well. Play it. I said, now you know what it feels like.
Right.
So welcome to the club.
And you know, I saw that you all had a Pullman coach, a Pullman Porter coach, a guy that kind of worked with you guys.
He came in, he was a Pullman Porter late in the 50s.
Yeah.
And so he came in and discussed some things with us. Go ahead.
And he had a father and his grandfather.
Right.
Okay.
So he comes from the 3 generations.
Exactly.
Right.
So he was very instrumental in helping understand how the 3 generations were very different, I think, for the guys. So that's why they...
So it helped us tremendously. And we also, Cheryl also had a young lady to work with her to bring in a lot of the history. So when we got to that first day rehearsal, there were a lot of books and a lot of information that was there.
Right.
So we were able to sit down and read for several days on the information of what took place, how everything was done, what was done on the train, how it was done, the facilities that were permitted on the train, the books that you had to study and read. We had those books where you had to learn the rules and the regulations as a porter. So we have all of that information with us. And I used to always get on Lisa, the director, a lot of times, because I always said, Lisa, we're not working hard enough. We should always come out doing something. We should always be doing something. And she said, I understand that, Cleavant. Just let me get it up on his feet first. So, I mean, even now, I still like there are places where we should really be working a little bit more, but you got to tell the story and you got to do the piece. So I understand it. And
people who love blues, they're going to love it, especially Faye, right?
Yeah.
Boy, the blues singing was really on it.
Yeah, that's what they hired me to do,
yes,
I think.
And that's something that, I mean, you seem really good at it. I mean, it seemed like that was you, you know.
Well, the nice thing about it is I've done a couple of roles where I had to do blues singers. So, I've done Ma Rainey before.
Right.
And so I've done a couple of roles like that. I've done Dinah Washington. So I seem to get a lot of women. I call it my dead women series, where I do a lot of dead blues women. So
a lot of people in that audience fell in love with you.
I resurrect them from the grave. Go. All right, girls, let's go.
She is hot in this thing. I mean, she really is.
I got the choo-choo blues. I had them all night and day. Hey, because the Panama Limited done took my sweet man away.
It's a great American story. It's not just an African American story, but it's a great American story and a part of our American history that we so many times look over. I mean, you got to remember, Pullman Porters developed, they made the middle class of African Americans in this country. There would be no middle class if there weren't for the Pullman Porters. I mean, there's so much history here for all of us to see, and I think it's a great piece. It's entertaining, but it's very historic, and you learn something. This is a story that's not told.
That's right. That's right.
It's never been told.
Right.
Yeah, it's a piece where, and she's hitting on it. It's at the time to be a Pullman Porter, they just didn't hire anybody. You had to have recommendations either from a pastor in the community or someone who was in the community who was looked upon as someone who could be, who could verify that you were of good standard and good standing. And usually a lot of times it was handed down from father on into son, on into grandson, and that's how you had an opportunity to work as a Pullman Porter. Now, Pullman Porters didn't make the kind of money that they would like to have, but I've got to tell you that to be a Pullman Porter in the Depression times, to have a job,
that was something special.
Big deal.
It was a huge deal, and Emily's character, Ludi, speaks to that. Here you have this young white girl who's on a train. She's going from place to place because that's all she knows. She's a hobo. She doesn't have anything. She doesn't have a life. It's showing something that the Depression was affecting everybody. And that's why I think that her character is so strong in this piece. A lot of times, a lot of the reviewers, the critics, they say, well, I don't understand the Emily character. I don't understand the Ludi character. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, it's reality. It was a real thing that was going on. They've got footage on it. Go back and look at the footage.
White folks had it as hard as black
They had it just as hard as we did. We just knew how to deal with it a little better because we've been doing it for a lot longer.
We were just used
So we understood that. So I think that Cheryl has hit on something that's really, as she said, that has an American history, an American story that hasn't been told. I think it's a wonderful piece. I think, as Ife said, everyone's going to get something out of this. It's not a negative thing. It's something about family. That's what I loved about the piece. I didn't particularly take this piece for the racial tone that was there. I took it because it was showing family go through something, pain, agony, suffering, but at the same time, joy, laughter, to take your sons and move them up the plane to upper middle class, to show that we wanted what everybody else wanted. It wasn't that, and it wasn't that we couldn't achieve that. We proved that it could be done. So it's a wonderful piece. I've waited a long time to do something like this, and I'm hoping that people will come, look at it, and understand it for what it really is. It's a wonderful American story. You're not going to find anything like this any other place in the world. This is a wonderful piece.
All right, well, from the emotions and what I saw in the audience leaving, I think you all have really accomplished something great. Thank you. It's a wonderful story, and I think that it's just a perfect talent to tell this story.
Well,
thank you so much.
It's a great cast. It's a great honor.
Cast. We love it. Yeah, great people.
And continue to have a good run here at Arena Stage.
Thank you so very much.
All right, Cleavant Derricks and Faye Butler of Pullman Porter Blues. We'll be back in a moment.